Now the second step we will do is to create our model. So we said that the MVC is model, view, and controllers. The model is the data layer. Now I will start with creating our data models. The first model I will create is the student model. Right click over the model folder and add new class and call this class student. Click add. So this is normal class, public class student, and inside this class I will add the properties. The first one should be public integer student ID get set, and the second one should be string student name, also get and set. And also we need to add the public, let's say, integer student age get set, and also public student status get and set. And here we have to mention that this is boolean, and we need to add public string student address get and set. So this is our first model. We need to use the constraints or the validation. We need the student ID to be a primary key, so the student ID will not be duplicated in our table. We will add the assembly using component model data annotations. And also I need to specify this column to be database generated field. Database generated and also I have to add the schema, and I need this to be database generated option dot identity. So the value of the student ID will be a primary key, and its value will be inserted automatically and will be increased by 1 with every new row. And also I need the student name to be like min length, or let's just specify the max length like 30 characters. And also for the student age, let's specify as a range of 0 and 30, or not 0, 1 and 30, or even you can say 5 and 30 based on your business. And the student status will keep it as it is, and the address also I need to mention that the max length for this should be maximum 50 characters. So by this way we have created our first model, which is the student model. We need to go now and create another model. Add a new class and call it teacher. In the teacher I will take this copy and paste it here, but I will change the student ID to be teacher ID, and the student name to be teacher name, and also for the student age will be teacher age. And here also will be teacher, and this is also teacher. And I will add this schema, and this also the annotations. And also for now, let's say that the teacher age should be between 22 and 50, for example. And the third component now, or the third model, will be the rooms or room model. And same, I will paste this here, and I will add the annotation, and I will add the schema, and I will change this to be room ID and room name, and I don't want this, and also the room status, and I don't want this also, just these properties. And also we need to add another model for the courses. Add a new class called course, and inside it also I will paste these properties. I will include the assemblies, and I will say that course ID and course name, and we don't want the age, and we need to change this to be course status. For now, this is enough. So now we have 4 models: the course, room, and student, and teacher. And also we need to specify here for the course model the teacher name, because for each course there should be a tutor. So we need to assign a teacher for the course. So we have to add here public integer teacher ID, get and set, and this should be a foreign key for the teacher ID primary key. Here we have teacher ID as a primary key, and this should be a foreign key. Now we can say that this is a foreign key for the teacher ID in the teacher model. Simply we need to add something like public of type the teacher, and we need to mention the teacher ID, and we need to give it a name like, for example, teacher, and then get and set. By this way, having the property name as it is in the teacher ID, and here it's teacher ID, and then we mentioned that we have a property of type teacher. You can give it any name, and this will refer like this is a foreign key for the primary key teacher ID in the teacher model. Now we need to add another model for the courses registration. The students can register in one or more course. So we need to add a new model for the registration process. Let's call it student courses. Student course. And inside this, we need to add properties like integer, for example, ID, get, and set. and we need to add like public the student ID get and set, and this should be also integer, and this is a foreign key for the student ID in the student model. So we have to say that public of type student and just give it a name and get and set. And also we need to add the course ID, public integer course ID get and set. And also the course ID is a foreign key for the primary key in the course model. So we should say public course like course get and set. So by this way we have an ID for the registration, and we know the student ID in this registration and the course ID. Now the second step, we will go and do the migration in order to create our database. And before this step, I need to mention that don't worry if there is any missing properties or model. Later we can add it, we can modify these models, and we can add new models to our project. For now, I will go again to the package manager console and say add migration and give it a name like initial or any name. Now the migration has been created successfully. We need to create the database by saying update database and enter. Now this is done. So let's go now to our Visual Studio and expand the databases. We should find our DB here, school DB. Expand it, see the tables. We find the Microsoft identity tables, but here our tables are not here. So let's see what's the problem. Let's close this and go. We have these models, but we forget to do something. Go now to our database context, and here we forget to add our tables like dbset for public, dbset student like students and get and set. Include this assembly, and same for other models or entities. The second one is teacher, and it will be teachers, and the third, like it was rooms, and also will be rooms. And also the third or the fourth one is the courses. So here we will name it like courses, and also we have the last one for the registration was student course, and this also we will name it as student courses. So now we have 5 tables, and if we go again to the package manager console, we should say just update database, but this will not do anything. Let's see the database. Now let's refresh our tables. Again, same problem. So why our tables still not created? That's because we have created the initial migration, and the initial migration contains only these tables. So For the entity framework, there are no changes on the migration level, so there will be no new tables. In this case, what we will do? We will go again to our package manager console and we will say add migration and give it like second or add tables, like any name. Now new tables should be added to the migration. See, let's close this one. This is the new one, add tables. See, there's rooms, students, and etc. Now we need to go again here and say update database. Done. So let's go to the SQL server and refresh our tables. See here our tables: courses, rooms, student courses, students, teachers.